Good afternoon, alienated parents, alienated grandparents, alienated children, and if you are an alienated friend member, family of any sort, please tune in to Let's Talk on Parent Alienation. Um, we have a special guest today, and everybody should tune into this one. But we have Andy Martens here, who has been a great godsend for us to perform our platform here to share worldwide with everybody, doctors, lawyers, therapists, you name it, it's going out there. And we also have Antonella Giovanna back.
Hi.
This is her third time back, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are welcome to have Antonella because her story is going to be something that we all need to listen to. And also we have with us is Lihn. Lihn is a uh, sorry, I'm just a little messed up because of my computer here, but Lihn is a court witness for CPS, observer, court firsthand observer witness of CPS and DCS and corruption, and is a victim herself. So to have Lihn on the show is going to help us all through this process, so we could get our kids back sooner than later, because later will be so bad, and Lihn could tell us the damages on how these children will end up. And welcome, Andy. Come, we welcome you again, and you could ask a few questions here once Antonella tells her story, and you could help us out.
All right. Great. Great to be with you again, Mary and Antonella. You've been on the show before and
Yeah.
my show as well. And on Real Talk, your story is quite something. If you want to let our viewers know that may not know your story of what you've gone through.
Yeah. So my case is in New York, a small town, Rockland County Supreme Court. Was a loving stay home mom, raised my kids for 11 plus years. Unfortunately, marriage didn't wasn't so well, and it was time. I was ready to. We had just divorce. Um, with not knowing anything about how corrupted the system is and how it's all planned out and calculated. I sort of unfortunately learned the hard way, and was not prepared, and have been battling for 4 years, and I'm still litigating in the Supreme Court. But unfortunately, I'm dealing with a narcissist ex-spouse, and I've been dealing with parental alienation, just the whole court corruption of uh, profiting on my children.
Oh,
I
Antonella, for the viewers that may not know or may not know the United States system, when you say Supreme Court, you mean the state Supreme Court.
Yes, the state, because when you file for divorce, you go through the Supreme Court. You're filing for divorce, you have assets, you're divorced. When you're dealing with family court, you're either already divorced and you're just litigating custody. I was litigating divorce, custody, assets. So it was I started in Supreme Court. Um, my case is closed, but unfortunately, I'm still um, in front of this same corrupted judge, Judge Sherry Eisenpress, and because she favors my ex-husband and has been enabling him to legally abuse me in the court, and they I'm still in front of this judge, even though my case should be in in family court, because I'm now trying to litigate just the custody part, because I'm divorced and everything. The case should be closed, but because judges do whatever they want and they profit on all this and they make money, um, this judge is still keeping my case in Supreme Court, allowing my ex-husband to file these contempt motions um, to legally abuse me. And I think, my ex-husband, his main goal is to, you know, try to put me in jail and have me disappear. But, my kids are way too important for me. Like I will never give up on my kids. I will continue to litigate. I will do whatever I need to do on my end. But during the whole case, unfortunately, they got forensic evaluators involved, family therapists involved. My kids had an AFC, an attorney for the children, one each. They were all privately paid. I spent thousands of dollars. I was court ordered to pay for this, pay for that. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars just in litigation. And that's their main tactic, is they're all making money off this. They bring in parent coordinators, they're bringing in family therapists, forensic evaluators, you name it, and everyone's making money off this. And in the end, I guess whoever fails and is broke, the person that that wins the case is the one with the money. My ex-husband has a lot of money, and I was just a stay-home mom and raising the kids. So right now I'm in a disadvantage. But like all loving parents, we don't give up on our kids, and we just keep. So I've been pro se for the past year. Don't know anything about the law, but I'm learning. And a lot of these alienated parents, or parents that have that've been dealing with custodial interference, like Lynn likes to use, which I think is a great way of saying it. We've had to go pro se because number one, can we really trust the attorneys? They don't work for us. They're working for the government. They're working for the judge, right? Because they don't want to put their reputation or license or whatever on the line, right? Because they have other cases. I'm just one out of how many cases, right? So we've had, a lot of parents like us have had to go pro se because of, either financial struggles or, litigating properly and, litigating our rights, our constitutional rights, our due process. My case is so bad that anything that I tried to do, just the court just denies it. They do whatever they want. They feel like they can do whatever they want because they're so protected by the government. They're protected by other judges, like they all, So that's a little bit about what I've been going through and what I've had gone through. I know Lynn's from Oklahoma, and she's had the same experience, but a little bit with more CPS. She's more knowledgeable about the whole CPS corruption. In my case, that CPS wasn't really involved in my case, so I don't know, Lynn, if you want to talk a little bit more about how CPS gets involved with cases like ours.
So, hi, Lynn. Welcome to the show. Let's do comment on that. Are things as corrupt in Oklahoma as well?
Oh, it's very corrupt. It's so corrupt that when you look up the case law and the case tax, and you couldn't even see a lot of appeals. Like you know how the other states, at least they have appeal and they have rulings. While over here, they just dismiss you outright with ignoring all the brief, like the case law and all these legal arguments. And for example, recently I even submit a writ of mandamus against a judge who robbed my Sixth Amendment right. You know how you're supposed to have court-appointed attorney for free because of the income being low. And she just robbed it outright, and I quote all these, case law from Oklahoma itself, and then the federal laws and the Constitution, the case law and amendments, right? All legal argument. And then on their Oklahoma Supreme Court, they dismissed my writ of mandamus. and just say there's no legal argument. And I'm like, did you actually read what I wrote? Everyone else read what I wrote and say it's great. It's all legal argument. It's all factual. There's no emotion. There's no like off topic for the writ of mandamus. And they say there's no legal argument. And they claim that there's no jurisdiction. Oh, apparently you robbed my kid. You stole my kid from me. You order me to pay child support the second round for the same child, breach your contract, and then you also order me like I have to show up for contempt of court and all these things, and yet now you claim no jurisdiction when I appeal. Like, what kind of mockery is that, right?
That's true.
Do you understand how insane it is?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was watching that documentary last night, and it's called Take Care of Maya. And this is exactly what happened in her case, where the parents were fighting for the child's rights, and they were saying that they had no rights. But yet, when it came to the trial, the hospital and their lawyers and all that were saying the same thing that they were fighting for. So why, this is not right. We are not allowed to use it, but they are.
Right.
So yeah.
And I didn't experience CPS firsthand until a year and a half, I would say a year and a half ago, right? Before that, I was just observing. And one time I was court watching for this lady in Oklahoma. She's actually not from Oklahoma. She's from Georgia. Her name is Samantha Ricks. And it's public information. It's not like I'm telling you things that you cannot look up. It's oscn.net, and you look up Samantha Ricks, you should pull up her file. She's from Georgia, okay? And Oklahoma took her kid, terminated her parental rights, framed her from a crime that she did not do, put her in jail to shut her up. And they don't have jurisdiction. And the first time she appealed, and she was in the court, the CPS court, they call it Child Protective Services, but I call it Child Predatory Services or Child Procuring Services. She say, I'm from Georgia. I have license in Georgia. My kids and me, they were like traveling through Oklahoma. And the Oklahoman lure her there. Like, say, we have a Christmas party. We love kids. Please come. We throw a party for kids. And she's a single mom. So she came and hang out through a Facebook friend. And when she was there, they called the deputy sheriff and CPS together, show up, and took her child with no warrant, with no abuse evidence, just false allegation of abuse. And then gave her to foster home, and the foster parents, deputy sheriff. and then
That's the foster
Wow.
parents, the deputy sheriff.
So he is extorting a child, basically, through the system.
Yep. And then they imprisoned the child here like a hostage situation for 6 months. And they think after 6 months, it's become residency. Like, you establish residency because you've been captured and imprisoned. And then now you're Oklahoman, supposedly.
Unbelievable.
So that's how crazy it is. And the judge, when we were saying there's no jurisdiction, she's a Georgian, why we even have his hearing? I was watching it, and then the judge was like stutter and then like lied, and the judge was like, "Oh, I have permission from the Georgia judge that emailed me and say that I have jurisdiction." Can you believe that?
But like, that's where I'm saying that all the judges work together. They all protect each other. If it's through other states, through the and that's
no, they made it up because we asked where is the email, and the judge couldn't produce it, and we call his, we call him, call him out, and he couldn't produce it, and then he shut down the hearing, and then the next time he rescheduled it, and they keep on rescheduling, and then 6 months out, still no evidence. So in the end, they framed her. That they put her in jail with 2 false witnesses, write in an affidavit and say that she was trying to kidnap the kid with guns when there's no evidence either. The gun belongs to the driver because everyone have gun in Oklahoma. Like, her friend was driving her.
Oh, really?
She doesn't have a car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then they frame it, and they wasn't even like, there's no video of like, oh, he's holding a gun and it was just a visit for her kid. but they frame and set it up so that they can put her in jail, and she's been in jail for months now.
And they put you in jail to silence you. They
Yeah.
put you
yeah.
in jail to, you know,
Mhm.
so that you have no access or to try to speak. They silence you.
Yes.
And they try to keep you in there as long as they can.
I've been there twice.
Yeah.
Twice. That's how I lost my children. My ex-husband cried that, you know, he was scared of me. So the police come. I'm in a wheelchair, disabled, and the police take me. They couldn't put handcuffs on me because I had medical braces on that were metal. I couldn't hold anything. And he said I was going to stab him with, you know, a knife. And they took me, and I go, are you serious? I said, he's been cutting my food for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to stab him with? And they took me, and he's the one that had the knife in his hand. And, you know, they believed him over me. And I'm like,
Well,
scared,
that's
scared
it's
for
That
them.
they believe him
it's
is
hearsay, false
because they
allegation.
want to protect the abuser.
Yeah,
So I don't agree with the rich and the poor thing. Like, that's
me
majority,
neither.
but it's about driving out the divorce the longest. Even
Yeah.
my
Yes.
divorce,
Dragging it out.
my custody already finalized. My everything was already finalized,
Yep.
right, before I moved to Oklahoma. But when I moved in it, he was doing custodial interference. He would hold the child.
Exactly.
He wouldn't give the child to me, physically keeping her hostage against me. And I
Mhm.
went to the court and said, I need your help to enforce my finalized divorce decree. I am not asking you to, but
Reopen the case or anything. Right.
they wouldn't reinforce, and they reopen the case, make it sound like I'm divorcing for the first time.
Right.
Yeah, me too. 18 years later
Yeah.
in a trial. I was like, am I getting divorced? What's going on here?
Yes.
And
divorce
use my
again and again.
children again 18 years later.
Exactly.
That's so wrong.
Yep. It's all about
Money.
giving the child to the abuser to keep the thing going.
Yes.
And when both parents have no money, you know what happened? They use this Title 4D for child support,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fake thing. For example, he's so rich right now, not rich like millionaire rich, like rich than compared to average Oklahoman, right? And he doesn't need services. He doesn't need child support. I don't have money. They kidnapped my kid with false allegation. Guess this. They say that I supposedly watch child porn and kidnap her from school. And the school later, a year and a half later, the school director show up and say, there's no kidnapping. You guys are liars. The attorneys, you know, the attorneys for the kid is liar who say that I kidnapped. And my ex is a liar, and the DHS caseworker is also a liar, say that I kidnapped the kid from school. And there's no child porn because I say a year and a half later, I'm not in jail for child porn, because if there was, FBI would be like, you know, break down my door.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they still keep my kid away.
Yeah.
And it's because once you say, you know how they sign me up for child support again, right? They put me, I'm the poor parent. We don't receive, but I didn't ask them for any services. I don't ask for any kind of, you know, Medicaid, like nothing, right? I don't ask for help from the state. And yet they claim that my family is using services. And I asked, what kind of services are we using? Because my ex not qualified, and he has sole temporary custody now. And they couldn't give the answer to me, and they refused to answer it. And then later they're like, see, DHS is not a party to this case. They refuse to hand over DHS records, because they've been caught in a lie. And but they, you know, the child support people still after me, right? And so they can double dip. They can have federal funding, reimbursed all these alleged services that we don't receive. So then they get money from federal to the state. You understand the incentive, like the
Right.
yeah. And then they
Everyone's making
charge me money
off of
that into my future, like future money. So they say I owe them $800 a month, and with interest, with fees, even though my income is almost like negative,
right.
zero. You see,
That they're
it's
making
all about money from federal reimbursement to the state.
Yes. I when I was watching that, everybody should watch it. Take take care of Maya, because it's exactly what parent alienation is going through, as well as how they do abduct our children and send them all to foster care. And then from there, the children are trafficked out to multiple places. They get shipped over to Europe, and you constantly hear about child rings, pornography, caught and all that. So where your children are going. There's no lies about it anymore. But anyways, what they were doing to the parents, they were trying to pit the parents apart from each other, so that one parent will say the wrong word. And when you say that wrong word, your kids are gone. And all it was the social worker she had taken so many children and damaged them. She now refrains from coming on to do interviews or anything because she knows she's caught. But I'm going to get her name for everybody by the end of the show. But anyways, what she was doing was asking the parents, in order to get your child back, what do you prefer, the child or your partner? And if you said your partner, you've lost your child. So you have to say you want your child before the partner, so then your partner comes down on you and then they alienate you because you chose the child over the partner. Now, these are games these people are playing. They're playing mind games with everybody. And if you say one bad thing, they'll take your kids no matter what. And in parent alienation, if you say to CPS, I'm stressed, they'll automatically condemn you as a mentally ill person because it's in the DSM.
And it's funny because they try to pull that stuff on me with the mental, like
they did the same to me.
Right, guess what?
They had nothing on me. So
yeah, me too.
They'll say you're mentally ill.
And the funny thing is, this doesn't work with me because
No.
I'm like, excuse me, are you a doctor? Because my doctor wrote a note right here that say
well,
I'm
I got evaluated
fine.
Twice I got evaluated by psychiatrists because they kept saying I was mentally ill. And
I don't
the
know
judge,
there.
but the judge refused to even use that as evidence during my trial.
Yep.
Because
and I know
they
one
knew
mom
that she was alleging I was mentally ill, okay, to the point where the judge literally took me behind chambers, saying, I think you're mentally ill. I think you're crazy. Doesn't your family think you're crazy? Literally had to take me to the back where it was off the record, intimidating me, saying all these horrible things. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, who's telling you all this? And she didn't even know what to say. And then I'm like, she goes, you need to see a psychiatrist. So I did. I said, okay.
I don't
got
recommend that, by the way.
reevaluated. Do you know she didn't use that as she would not allow me to submit it as evidence, saying I do not have any mental illness. I'm perfectly fine, because she wanted to rule custody a certain way, and she did not want me to have that evidence, so that if I was to appeal it, I wouldn't have that on the record as evidence. And that's what she did. And that's what it's all planned out. It's all, and then of course you go to the appellate court, they're just as bad. They're not
Right.
there, they get the phone call from the trial judge and say, hey, this case is coming in. She's going to appeal it. Just deny it, or just, have her file motions, entertain it. That's what the appellate court likes to tell you. We entertain motions. Oh, I'm glad you entertain motions. That's nice. That's how they phrase it.
And they also make money, by the way, with these psych eval, because they will pay back a percentage to the judge and the lawyers that refer them. Because I know one mom that took 5, 6 psych eval, and every time it's normal, they're like, this doesn't count. We'll go on next one. And I don't take psych eval, even if they say they recommend and stuff. I say, you are not a doctor. A doctor license, MD/DO, is real science and real medical clinical decision making, not a fake ABC check boxes test that you take. Just like when you want to know what career is best fitted to you, you take that test for fun. This is a fun psych eval. It's a fun test. It has no scientific base on it. And so I
Right.
refused to take it, and I wrote a long explanation about fry test, double test, and all these things. So they stopped asking me to take psych eval. I think people should not take it because when you do it, you are encouraging giving them more money into their pocket, and it can be used against you because the psychologist gonna fake and swap your test with your psychotic ex-husband test, swap it, the result. Because there has been cases we caught that where they erase your name and they swap the thing, and the mom would record whatever answer she wrote. It's completely opposite of
Yeah,
what
very
the
different. Yeah.
psychologist put in,
Right.
So it's all money to go around. And
Well, yes, the
you're
judge I had did actually selected the forensic evaluator,
Mhm.
and but the other two that evaluated me were not selected by the judge, but they were court approved psychiatrists that um, but yeah, I don't agree with forensic evaluations. I think
Crooked.
they're just a tactic to
Yeah.
try to to
Make it for longer.
to
right.
make the innocent mom
Yep.
looks bad and to protect the abusive dad who's either a sociopath or a psychopath or a sexual groomer or a child beater or just sold the kid for sex
Yeah.
or money. But honestly, the only solution to all this is the funding of DHS because I have a lot of friends who are doctors that work in the ER and the pediatrician floor. They call DHS for child abuse, like actual child abuse with bruising and like the child, and everyone say that the dad beat the kid or whatever, right? Every single time they did not investigate, they closed the case. DHS give the kid back to the abuser, the foster parent. But when we don't call, the doctor say this is a safe mom. They just ignore it. We don't. They don't care. They don't care what the real honest, caring doctor say.
That's
They
right.
always use their DHS paid doctor. Okay, you're on the payroll by DHS as a doctor, and then you have your own exam in an isolated room, not recorded, not witnessed by any true nurse and other doctor, not in the ER. They fake fabricated evidence. They ignore actual, how the kids sometimes they have seizure, they have real seizure, and then the DHS doctor will say, nope, we don't need there's no seizure, there's no need for medication, so that the kids can have their brain fry over and over again every 20 minutes, have a seizure, frying their brain so they can
Yeah.
start it. That's how evil DHS is.
Yeah.
There's no cure. There is no cure for cancer. We
No,
can only abolish it and defund it.
that's what happened to that little girl in the movie, the documentary, I should say, because it's a true story that's in court right now. She was taken to the hospital and they held her for 200 and something days and never let the mother or the father come see her because they called it Munchausen
Yes.
because the mother was creating all this problems for the daughter, but the mother was a nurse. She knew what she was doing. But at the end, she hung her, or during the process, she died. She hung herself and wrote a letter to the judge. So this is why this is such a serious documentary for everyone to see, because so many parents have committed suicide, murder suicide, taken their children's lives and then theirs. I mean, these court judges are the reason for all these murders and everything else going out there. I'm sorry, but my judge literally called my ex-husband a conniving, scheming, manipulative liar, but he gets the house and kids and don't pay support until the house sells. He waited 2 years and I was in a shelter. Now, why would a judge do that? Seriously, he gave my 2 teenage daughters to a man that was molesting one of the children when she was just a tiny baby. And he got caught by the military. The military doctor, who was a civilian, told me to file. I went to file a police report. When I needed his help the next day, they shipped him off back to Canada to hide the abuse. Now, this is what's happening in our military system. They're hiding a lot of, domestic violence. There's over 100,000 calls a year from in the military for domestic violence, because these men are coming, or women are coming back from the field with PTSD. They, they screw up their family. They have affairs while they're out in the field, bring back diseases. Like, this is an ongoing thing that I am now accustomed to for 46 years. And there's no reason for me to go through this. I am a human being. We all have our children together. Why is the judge taking the one parent away from the children? It's for money. When I gave up this court case, it was $175,000 to the loser. I said, you know what? You guys are going to make me lose no matter what. My hands are up. No, here's an offer. Take it. I'm not paying the courts another penny. My kids were adults. Why are they now bad-mouthing me after 18 years? So this is what's happening to the kids. They will keep coming back. They're stuck in the court system like my ex-husband for 63 years. He was alienated. He's been in the system over and over and over and over and over. He knows the deal. So now our kids are pros. They're going to be doing it to their children and their new partners. It's mental health issue. It's a deep crisis that we're all going through. But if we're strong like you and Lihn and Antonella, I mean, we are the ones that can make a big difference in this world today, because we are fighters. We're not going to let these judges step on us, because they're nothing but a guy in a black coat. I got a lot of black coats, but yet I still talk the truth. And they are helping the abusers to abuse us. And we need to stop. We need to stop it.
I know. And Lihn and I were talking about, once the CPS, or, the children are kidnapped, that's where the brainwashing and the manipulating starts. And they train these kids to believe certain things, and they threaten them.
Actually, let me correct you. Let me correct you there.
I'm sorry.
It starts before the courts. It's just that the courts are helping. They're embellishing it, because they know once the child is asked, who do you want to go with? Right there. That's not.
My kids said me.
Both my kids say they want to be with mom.
My kids
they
said
even
me.
go in
The
the
judge
diary
said
they want
no.
to be with mom.
Yeah, the judge said no. Too bad. In fact, my daughter was threatened, and they told her, if you don't live with your father, you're going to foster care. That's exactly what her.
Oh, they did. Are they going to say that? I'm going to
attorney,
sue your
her
mom.
AFC, told her straight up, said, and then my son the judge that I have brought my kids into open court, which is not once, multiple times. And my son raised his hand and said, when I want to live with my mommy, when can I live with my mommy? And she goes, nope, too bad. Nope. Just like that, for no reason. There was no reason to, and all they kept saying was, I was alienating the children. I was talking bad about the father. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, talking bad. The father was never around.
There's no evidence. There was no
evidence. He was never around. And even if that was the case, then why aren't we working on, rather than removing the children completely, isolating them completely, telling them all these lies, right? And restricting access and traumatizing them, as if I was traumatizing them. They were blaming me that I was traumatizing, but traumatizing these children, because apparently there's these allegations that I was alienating or saying something bad about the father. And that gives you the right to completely isolate children from the other parent. That's almost promoting the parental interference or alienation. That's the court doing that now.
Yep.
Right.
Imprisoning children against their will.
Right.
Yes. The courts, the judge even stopped me from going to the kids' school and told me that unless my children tell me, then I can go. That's like, what? Isn't that a parent's job to tell the kids to go to school? And you're telling me my kids have to tell me when I can go and get their information? And he stopped me from getting all medical. My children were Chernobyl babies, so they were suffering from nuclear cancer. I looked after them for 18 years. I lost one. So for 20 years, I raised children with sickness in their system. And then when the judge asked the father, is there anything wrong with the kids? And he said, no. And he got the kids, and I'm going, wait a minute. I have evidence. I've got pictures of my dead daughter. No, they didn't care. So they don't care. They
Yeah.
know we're going to fight for them as hard as we can and bring in revenue for them. That's the
Right.
issue right now. That, I don't know what to say, whether we should just walk away and then the judges are going to learn that these parents are not taking the bullshit, and then go and do what you have to do with your kids. Go get them. Force the alienator to give the kids up. I mean, we need to do something. It's like there's this one young lady that's fighting for her boy for over 20 years. She stops in front of the parents' house, sets up camp, and fights for her kid. Now, this is what, I'm seeing visually, that everybody should do it. And then what are the police going to do? Arrest everybody that's on the street fighting for their kids? Because this courts, we need to stay out of the court system. They're just going to abolish everything.
The problem with my case is my ex keeps bringing me back into court with
Mine did too.
With contempt motions.
Yes.
Under an index number that has no jurisdictional grounds. It's a closed case. In fact, he should be filing a new index number and filing in family court if he wants to continue. But he's using this judge who already favors him, who's already, already getting paid under the table, right? Everyone's getting paid through him somehow because, and what do you do when someone is dragging you back in front of these people? That's where, and
I think that's why some of the parents kill themselves, because they're like, I don't want to be.
But that's what they want you to do. They're hoping that I kill myself, or I kill someone else, or I do something irrational, and they put me in jail.
Put you in jail.
Right. And then when I don't act irrational, they'll find another way to put me in jail.
And then they'll say you're neglecting them. You want nothing to do with them. And that's what happened with me. And I got brought back 17 years later. It took 18 years to get to that point. But that's what the teenage or adult children were saying now. They were suing me for $101,000 because I wanted nothing to do with them for 17 years. I don't think so. I wrote to you every day. What do you do when the kids are 18? You can't drag them, right? So this is what's the problem. But if they were under 18, then we would be charged and be committed because we are neglecting our children under 18. But we're not. They're taken away from us.
What about this? When they say, "Oh, you're neglecting. You want nothing to do with your kids, right? You're. What about? Oh, but then they put a gatekeeper, which prevents me from filing, and prevents me from defending myself. And they still tell you, even though I'm trying to file, and they keep denying, they'll delete my records or whatever. And they still tell you you're still neglecting your kids. You want nothing to, you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
Really?
That's what happened to me.
You just put a gatekeeper. You're preventing me from filing in family court and Supreme Court, not just Supreme Court, not just that particular index number. You're preventing me from filing even in family court. Who gives you the right to? You have no rights to say I can't file in family court. She's a Supreme Court judge.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they do. And then they tell you it's you that's causing the issues. This is all your fault. You don't want to see your kids. You're not trying hard enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that.
Pretty much they just create lies every single time. They create
lies, right?
Yes.
No
evidence. That's what they're banking on.
Evidence. They block out evidence. They even tampering with the witnesses, threatening witnesses.
Yes, my ex has called. Yep, and his attorney have called many, even therapists that were court ordered to be part of the case. I was just listening to someone talking about his case, and what he said was true. Even when there's like family therapists or parent coordinators that are involved, sometimes they see which parent is the more narcissist, the more aggressor parent, right? And that's the parent they don't want to deal with, right? So they write a bad report about the good parent because they don't want to lose their license. They don't want to be attacked. They don't want to look bad in the court. They don't want. So sometimes what a lot of these therapists do, or parent coordinators or whatever, they or even attorneys for the children, they write the bad report about the good parent.
Yes.
So they don't have any issues or no one's coming after them. Right. And it's true. My ex
It's not true.
went after my therapist.
We
He
go
went
after
after a
them.
few of my therapists because they were writing good reports about me. They saw that I was not this, crazy lunatic or whatever, that I was a good mom, and the kids wanted to see me. And the more the children asked for me, the more the court retaliated, the more my ex retaliated. And so what did he do? Every good report, even if it's from a supervisor or anyone, he went after them. And he tried going after their license. He would file something in the court and file a complaint. And that's where you then sometimes say, are they writing the bad report, some of these therapists, because they don't want to get involved or in trouble, or they don't want to be a part of this whole, contentious divorce? I don't know. But that's definitely something that I've noticed, at least in my case. I don't know about, about your case, Lynn, but that's what was happening with me.
Many
So my
cases are the
Yeah.
same.
So my case is I have all the good reports. I don't have any bad one. It's all the truth, and it's about all the, like, how we are, like what he neglect them. Everyone witnessed it. They wrote it. He yelled and cursed in front of people. He screamed. He have anger issue. It's blatant. But the child's attorney, the guardian, allied him, protects the abuser. It just know that they protect the abuser, in Oklahoma. And who is the abuser? Usually is the man, because they're, bigger, stronger, have testosterone. They can punch a wall and have a hole in it, while we, female, no matter, even if I'm the same size as my counter partner, my ex, even if I'm the same size, it's kind of impossible for me to physically abuse him.
Mm-hmm.
But they always ignored any kind of abuse. And then they just say, in my professional opinion, for the best interest of the child should be with the abuser. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the same song they sing because they have money. Like you were saying, how the longer they drag it out, the more money the guardian not like them. Even if I'm poor, I couldn't pay him. In the beginning, I was paying him because I was a rich one back then. And then now it flipped. So that's why I'm saying it's not about who rich or poor.
Right.
It's about the abuser being protected.
Yes.
And then they charge it to his account, to my account, doesn't matter, whoever, right? And they just keep the case going. And if none of the parents have money, then they charge into the federal tax money under Title 4D reimbursement from federal to state. And if the kids have been kidnapped to the foster home, then they do it Title 4E, which is the letter I, letter V for Latin. IV is number 4 in
Mm-hmm.
Latin. So some people say IV4, IVD, but it's actually 4E and 4D. And that's under Social Security Fund created by Bill Clinton in the 1997 or something, like approximately. The thing is this, people don't realize that Social Security Fund is for your retirement, for your health care. Instead of, they kind of hemorrhaging. They're dumping all these money that we put in for our retirement into these family court judges and states and court actors. So this is a warning to people out there. Don't say, oh, I don't have divorce. I don't have kids. I don't have CPS case open. I don't have to worry. I'm not going to care about these moms. Well, this is why you're wrong. This money going to run out. The Social Security Fund going to run out because you're letting these judges and lawyers drain it from your funding that should be
Right.
for you,
Yeah.
old white folks, okay, and for your health care. Imagine you're supposed to have free health care when you're old, right? But no, they charge you $8 a prescription because
Mm-hmm.
they ran out of money, gave it to these lawyers and judges in the family courts, in the kangaroo court, okay?
And that's why they're pushing drugs.
Yes. So you need to go out there and vote
Yeah.
and say, I demand my Senator and Congressman to stop and to repeal this Bill Clinton Title 4D and 4E Just stop it. Okay, I can testify that it's not about the child support. This is what happened. I talked to a lot of moms in the parking lot in child support services. They was awarded child support. The father say the state has collected the money, okay, but the state never released it to the mom or to the child. So no, there is no children benefit from the lying child support services. Okay,
Right.
let me tell you
Right.
that the state took the money from one parent, take it, pocket it. The children still starve to death. The
It's
children still have no money. So
right.
no, do not buy into that lie. Okay. Also, I
It's
am.
funny that you say that because my ex is doing that with my maintenance.
Yep.
And so because he has control of giving me my releasing the maintenance into my account, he goes to the court and says, "Oh, he makes a complaint and then it says, she should pay for this or she should pay for that." And then the judge orders it and then starts to remove it out of my maintenance, and he doesn't give the money to me. He holds on to it, and either who knows what he's doing with it, if he's really paying off this or paying off that. But just like you said with the child support, the
The
system
spousal
found
support
a
is
way of
same.
doing it with the
It
maintenance.
reroute the
Mhm.
spousal support
Yes,
into the
it's
pocket of the
it's a money
attorneys.
thing. Yes,
Attorneys and judges go into
right,
them. Okay.
right.
And another thing that people don't realize, have to warn the public, is this is a public announcement. You don't care about other people. You say, "Oh, it doesn't involve me because
It
I
does.
am white." Well, guess what? I have watched so many courts and have talked to so many moms, and majority of them are white people. Okay, they just don't have they're so isolated that they don't have a support system like the minority. We have grandparents, we have the whole neighbor, so we are not afraid to speak up. But let me tell you, there are more white people with kids being kidnapped than the actual minority.
Yes.
Just because they don't speak here, but they cry, and now they're crying all over Facebook, but they don't go out and speak because they are so scared of retaliation. Compared
Yeah.
to minority, I was born and
Mhm.
raised in Vietnam, a third world country, where government abuse, all these things, and we're like, you know what? We are not afraid. We're not afraid of jail. You just
Mhm.
threatened me with jail.
I've been
I'm
there.
scared of jail, okay? Because I'm scared of God more than I'm scared of jail, and I'm
Me
Mhm.
scared
too.
of God more than the judge, because to do what's right is what matter, okay? And
Yeah.
I hate it when people excuse it. Oh, we don't have enough funding. That's why we DHS so overworked. That's a lie from the enemy. They are
It
not
really is.
overworked. They are not lazy. No, and they're not ignorant. No, they are maliciously prosecuting people. They show up every single hearing, try to steal my kid. Like, they will show up every single hearing. Okay,
It's planned.
yeah, they sit down, they
Well,
waiting around.
Lynn,
Planned.
Yes,
We were talking about how when before they kidnap the child from the parents or parent, all of this, scheme is done with ex parte conferences. I don't want to even say hearings. And then they get this court order to take your kid away without even
yeah,
without even
a
letting the
notice.
parent know. They just show up at
There's
your
no
house with a
notice.
warrant, with
Yep.
nothing, and they're saying we have an order here that says we're taking your kid, and you're like, what's going on? What order? There's no investigation, nothing. They just take your kid,
Yep.
and this is all done behind the scenes,
Yes.
just like
And
that.
then they even say there's no objection to agreeing
Oh
to have
yeah,
the
they're
kid
like, too
given to
bad, we're
abuser. And I'm
taking your
like,
kid
I
now.
wasn't
Deal with
invited there.
it
How
when
can
you
I
go to
object?
court. Court could be in 20 days. Court could be in a month. Court could be,
Yes.
deal with it. We're just taking your kid now. Now you're taking this kid or kids, and they're like, what's going on? And they're being put in a complete stranger's, home. Like, they're just like, they have no idea what's going on. I mean, it's just horrible, how they do it. I
So yeah,
mean,
don't
it's
buy into
just.
the lie that it's only affect
And
minority.
the longer the
That's
child
not
is
true.
away from the parent, the worse it is. And that's their goal, is to make sure that child is away from the parent or parents, to continue to brainwash them, to continue to create that, that distance.
Breakage. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
And
That's
this
what
was
happened to
another.
me.
yes,
My kids, after 2 years, 3 years, your kids forget about you because they've been
yeah,
so accustomed by
yep,
the alienator to hate you that they don't even want to think about you anymore because the hate is hurting them. The hate is making them mentally and
And they
emotionally.
think us as parents didn't fight hard enough, or we didn't care about them. We allowed this to happen, which obviously we didn't. We don't allow this, but they think that's what they're thinking. Like, oh, why didn't my mom or dad fight harder? Why didn't, for me, or why do they not love me? Did I do something wrong? Is this my fault? I mean, these are all the things that go on in their minds, and it's just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's not from their mind; it's implanted there. Because if the abuser, I wouldn't call them alienator because that's such a benign term. I would say they are abuser,
They are abusers,
child rapist, child
predators.
beater, predators, because they implanted these thoughts into these kids' head. The kids is innocent. The kids always love their mom and think the best of their mom, but they would tell them every day. Imagine you when you grow up and someone tell you every day you're ugly. You're ugly.
Mm-hmm. That's what they did.
My
Yeah.
ex body shamed my daughter.
I went
every
through
day.
that.
Yeah.
My kids were
Body
calling
shames
me
my
when they were,
daughter.
instead of calling me mommy, he was making them call me monster.
Exactly.
Because his mother raised him to every time he talked about his father, she told him his father was a monster. So he grew up without a father calling, monster, monster, knowing. And then when he got married to me, and we had children, he did the same tactics. Or he would say, I'd be dressed up nice to go out. Oh, look at mommy. She looks so ugly. She looks like this and this and this. So the kids are like, huh? And then all of a sudden they adapt the same routine. Mommy's got a fat butt. Mommy this. And then they pull your hair. They punch you. The abuser literally makes the kids hit you so that they don't have to leave bruises.
Right.
Right? They're using the kids now to hurt you.
Right.
And that's what a lot of parents are going through, whether it's a man and a woman, because a woman will do it. I've been watching a lot of women who are predators themselves and are the worst. Like this one woman in this documentary, she was evil. Like literally, how can a woman take a child away from a mother is what I don't understand.
They are evil towards other people's child, but not when they have their own child. Then they'll try to protect it, And I don't like the media, how they always say, oh, abusive parents, but they didn't put the actual thing is foster parents. They removed that purposely to deceive the public. But when you read the case, it's actually the foster parents that abuses and get caught and convicted. And then also, the other thing, the public being deceived is just because you're being charged of something. It's not conviction. It hasn't been heard. It hasn't have a trial. And then it used against the good parent and say, well, she's such a criminal. She's been charged all these things. But being charged means being accused. Being falsely accused. It doesn't mean that you're guilty of it. And the sad thing is people don't think when you're like, oh, who cares? I'm going to make laws, whatever, make me rich, right? I'm going to be the senator and congressman. I'm going to protect all my judges' friend. Guess what's going to happen? When you're old, the one that took care of you in nursing home are those psychopathic children that you abused. And they will be the one that going to abuse you when you're in a nursing home. Even if you have money, you're going to still run across a crazy one who like to abuse people because you're the one that raised them that way. You're the one that make laws to promote crazy psychopathic kids because you get an abuser, you rob them of the mom.
Our children are our future.
To treat them to be mentally ill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to read this to everybody out there on this documentary about Maya. Maya is a very, very inspirational child because they accused her of lying and making the mother bring her to the hospital. Now, I went through this with my daughter when she was 8, 9 years old. They got food poisoning. So every time I took the children to the hospital, when they were abused by their father, I got accused of Munchausen, and I would say, look, I'm just coming back from work. I went home. My children got broken arms. I'm bringing them home. Do not accuse me. The father was left alone with them. Do something there. but they didn't.
Yep.
And I had to quit work to stay home with the kids so that the father wouldn't be abusing them, because I couldn't lock him out of the house. And I didn't, no one would believe me. And I suffered a lot of abuse physically, mentally, and emotionally to keep the children safe. So I'd rather have been abused than my kids were. But Maya's mother, who is Beata Kowalski, she's Polish, was accused of having Munchausen's by proxy. And Dr. Anthony Kirkpatrick diagnosed Maya, the little girl, I think she was 8 years old at the time, with complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS, in 2015, a neurological disorder that can cause people's experiencing excruciating pain from the lightest of touches. Even a feather would fall on her. But this is happening to lots of children. Now, mothers are having babies. Mothers are getting drugged with all these pharmaceutical test drugs and everything. So who knows what's happening to our children inside of us? So once the child is born, they're banking on taking these children to extort them, to traffic them. I mean, if people don't see this, they need to wake up to see this, because this is what's happening. Our children are being damaged before birth, so that the parents will be stripped of their children, handed over to foster people. But this woman that did all of the taking away of kids had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases. Like, she was throwing them out like dimes.
Just like my caseworker, she testified on the stand that she did this to 400 other kids. She testified.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and she's convicted criminal. She has a history convicted criminal on public website under another name, and she have conviction of harming other children.
Well, that's what this woman too, and this is in the state of Florida. So anybody out in Florida, please look this up, because this woman is a psychopath. She's getting off on hurting families. I mean, Maya's mother committed suicide. She hung herself. And
she couldn't take the pain anymore.
She couldn't take the pain anymore.
It's horrible.
And it's a very interesting case, and this needs to be brought out to the world. And so September 23rd of 2023 is the trial. I think everybody needs to have this, just like a football game put on TV. They need to put these cases on TV.
We need to have more documentaries of other cases like this. I mean, I think that's the only way people will, know more about and be more knowledgeable about, these type of cases, because there's so many of them. There's so many of them. I mean, when this was happening to me, I was blindsided. I had no idea. Once I was full in, I then started, you start reaching out, you connect with people. I couldn't believe this is happening all over the world. I mean, all these states and even the country, and just thousands of cases. And then even to find out and about cases that children are being killed, people are committing suicide. I mean, it's so devastating. And then what happens? These judges aren't even held accountable because they have immunity. They can make up some lie,
but they keep on lying to us
and say, "Oh,
this
is what I followed the law." I followed. No, you didn't. It was very obvious what was happening. I mean, that Tommy Valva case. I mean, come on. CPS was even saying the school was saying these kids are coming in, with urine all over. I mean, looking like they were starving, and nothing, absolutely nothing. They did nothing. So what's the excuse, and you're not being held accountable for allowing this to happen? I mean, come on. You've been doing this for how many years? How many cases are in front of you? And you're telling me that you had no idea? I mean, come on, you know what you're doing. You know the reason why you're doing it. But it's not about the kids. It's not about the safety of the children or the best interest. They love to say best interest. I don't see that. It's about making money. It's about money. It's about
The best interest
Profiting.
of their
Everyone needs to
retirement.
profit off this. It's about
Yes.
referring people. I mean, it's horrible. The whole thing, the whole system is so broken. And it's not getting any better. It's like, what, how do we make it better? I don't know. I mean, I guess just, right, these documentaries telling your story.
Just defund, cut off the federal funding of incentivized kidnapping of children, and also for the no more immunity for anybody. Even the president's not immune. Then how come judges have immunity? There should be no immunity to anybody.
You're right. Why is that?
Zero immunity, because the law say there's no immunity, but the judge keep on singing the song, I am immune, I have judicial immunity, and they keep on singing the same song.
Well, that's the worst thing you can do
And
with someone who
you
has
start
control
believing
over
it.
your life or a case, right?
Mhm.
Giving someone immunity, right? That's the worst thing you can do. Then they can do whatever they want. They own you. You know what they used to tell me? I'm your God. The judge, I was told the judge is my God now. No, it's not. No, the judge is not my God. And the only reason why I'm in front of this judge is because I was dragged by my ex to be in front of this judge. My
Mhm.
children were forced to be in front of this judge. Okay. And now you're telling me you have control over my life. Why? Because my ex is paying you? Because you for some reason you have something against me, you want to retaliate. You need to take your anger out on someone, so you're going to take it out on me and my kids. That's not right. I'm paying taxes. I'm these are my children. My children. My blood is going through their body. I chose to be a parent. I didn't just by accident became a parent. I chose to be a parent. I chose to take care of my kids. I chose to raise them. And now you come in and say, too bad I'm taking everything away from you. I'm going to harass and torture you and have sheriffs show up at your house every single day and embarrass you in the community. I mean, because that's what was happening. My neighbors are like, what's going on? Or I'm gonna make your life a living hell, that I'm gonna put all these order of protection so that you can't, God forbid I show up in the mall and my kids are there, then who's gonna get put in jail? Who's gonna call the police? Me. So I can't even walk around my community freely because you put this fraudulent, fake order protection to torture me, to try to find a way to incarcerate me. I mean, that's sick. That's a sick person right there. For what?
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
think
just,
I think other than the immunity thing we talk about, like there's no immunity, but there also should be a requirement for the judges and co-appointed people have to have psych eval. They need to have psych eval every quarter, every 3 months. They have to have random drug
you know
tests
how we have,
once a
right.
month. Once a month drug test, because all of them are abusing drugs, damaging their brain, have memory issue. Because one time I say something in court, and 5 minutes later, and they already forgotten. They say the opposite of what they say earlier. So
They
I
don't
think the
know what's
memory
going
issue,
on half the
yeah,
time. My judge used to not know
psyche.
anything. She used to be like, wait, what's going on? Like, she didn't know anything.
Mhm.
She just did what she was told. There was ex parte communication with the law clerk. The law clerk knows my ex. They graduated. They're graduated together the same year. They have mutual friends. All they do is the law clerk, they all do ex parte phone calls, communication, and say, okay, we have a hearing today with this case. This is what we're going to do. They plan it before you even have your hearing. They already made up their mind. Regardless if you want to argue it in court or put it on the record, they already know what they're going to do and what they're going to say. So it's a joke.
And
It's,
then release
Yeah.
release real criminal into the streets, right? Rapists and murderers.
yeah, they put the
Or they put
criminals on the
innocent people
street.
in jail so they can make more profit of prison money. But the sad thing is when they don't realize a man does reap what he sow, because those same people that they released gonna either rape, murder, or kill their relatives and family members of the judges and lawyer. Don't think that you're gonna on the street of a dinner and you're gonna think the criminal or the psychopath gonna like, let me make sure I look up this person I'm about to kill and murder and rape is not related to the judges or the district attorney. Okay, so that's a warning to you guys, that don't think that it doesn't affect you and your loved one. You
Right.
will always
Yeah.
I always say, pray you never have to step foot in court. That's all I have to say. Pray you never have to ever be in front of any judge or in court, because you never know what your outcome. You're not safe. You're not protected. Your rights aren't protected.
Yep, they are not
That's
working for
right. Let
It's
justice.
me,
very sad.
okay, we're getting close to like we're over an hour
Okay.
now. So what I want to ask you is one last question before we go. I would like to have you both back to do another part because these situations, it takes more than an hour to get through to a lot of people. So I want to ask right now, both of you, Lynn and Antonella, what are you doing to keep yourselves sane through all this process? So, Lynn,
Do
you
you
go
want to start,
first.
Lynn?
Yes. So I always read the Bible at least once a day. And I pray morning when I first wake up. I read a daily devotion and I subscribe to a daily devotional thing. For now, it's like Hope for the Daily Hope by Rick Warren. And then I would watch YouTube channel like Grace for Purpose. It's a YouTube channel where they speak scriptures with really cool music in the background and have images that are relaxing and scripture over it, speaking positivity and um, good things into your life and good promises of God. How He say, "I will avenge, I will hold people accountable," and it's God promises that keep me sane because I know that there is no justice from the corrupt Oklahoma court system, but there is justice in front of my God, and He Himself
Right.
will send out angels to torment them, to make them pay for hurting so many children, for hurting me and my daughter personally, but also numerous people before me, with me, and after me. And if
Mm-hmm.
I don't pray against them, these evildoers, then I'm not, fighting enough for my daughter. We don't just fight in the court; we fight through prayer and through
Right.
believing in the promises of God, and that's what keep me going and happy and trusting and not become, resentful or like devastated because I see His miracles, I see His punishment of the wicked on the land and on the people, and specifically my enemies. I've seen them suffer too through the hands of God, not through the freaking corrupt court system from all the way from the bottom all the way to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. They are a joke. I have no respect for them. I served the U.S. military for 5 years as active duty as their medical provider, uh, as a doctor of the Navy, and it's sad to serve a country to come back home that they raped all your rights and they have no respect for human life. They have no respect for freedom. They spit in the face freedom, like they spit on the Constitution. So I
Yeah,
hope that one day, and I know one day they'll get invaded and they have no freedom and they have a taste of their medicine. That's all that I
Yeah.
am resting on is the promises of God that will
And
come full circle.
right. I mean, for me,
thank you
same
for
thing.
that,
My
Lynn.
faith.
Thank you.
Yeah. My faith, and
I'm going to
I
ask you one more at the end, but Antonella, you could tell us what it is quickly that you deal with to help you keep yourself
just
focused.
my faith.
Right.
Right. Just prayer, faith. I keep myself busy. I work. I do. I work with and do things that I enjoy. Um, and just keeping myself healthy, and that's really it. I mean, the praying is really what helps me a lot, and just having that motivation to just keep on going and keep fighting for my kids, and that's it really. I know some people might do other things, but that's right now, that's what seems to be helping me right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, and oh, and then talk to
Very
each
good.
other. Talk to each other, to other moms,
Yeah,
and the same
definitely
courage,
talking.
the same faith. If you talk to someone that's like already, like say don't do, like or being negative, then it's gonna bring you down. So just make sure you talk to
Speaking
someone
positive. Yeah.
who say no matter what, you're gonna pick yourself up and keep on walking.
Yeah.
You get knocked down, ask God to help pick you up again, and Jesus to be your right hand to sustain you and to carry you when you cannot even go forward, right? And
Right.
that's the only thing is you have your sisters in Christ and you have to have your family and relatives supporting you, but mostly the same people that support each other the most are the same victims who've been through the
Yeah.
same experience, the same,
Ex-
to know how real the pain is, and to know like how evil people can be, the human nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on to Let's Talk on Parent Alienation Worldwide. I'm going to ask you one more question. What would you advise a parent that's going through the system right now? I know I would say stay out of family court if you can. Do what you can to convince your ex-spouse to be that in the best interest of the children is to be amicable 50-50. That, I can't stress it anymore. That way, you got to take the hate out of the equation to love your child. It's all in the best
It's
interest of the
about the
child.
children,
So, Lynn,
right? I
what's your last
agree.
advice?
I agree with that, but if that's not the case, which was not an option for me, unfortunately, um, moving forward, learning about, every angle about the system, um, educating yourself with the law, learning your law, your rights. Definitely be cautious who you involve with, in your case. And just don't lose hope. Just keep fighting, because in the end, regardless of if it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, I know people have been fighting it for 10 years. In the end, just don't give up. Like, there'll be a day that you will get your victory. And keep showing your kids that you never gave up on them, because if you do walk away, some people are like, I'm going to walk away. um it's just, they don't know what's really going on. They only know what they see and what they're being told. So just don't ever give up. Find every avenue, every way you can figure it out. Some people even say, I started a journal and I write something every day, and then you can hand it to them the day that they're old enough, or aged out or whatever. You get them back, or just keep going. That's all I can. That's the advice I can
Right.
give right now.
And
Well, thank you for that.
I
You're welcome.
agree, where not only don't no trust even your lawyer that you pay for, because
Be careful. Yeah.
they actually stab you in the back because you yeah, because they're only interested in money. So always keep track of email. Every time you email, you CC yourself, carbon copy.
Yeah. Document everything.
And
Record and document. That is so important.
yes, but even then, you don't have remedy either. So just know that when you go in, you're just fighting just to the sake of saying that I don't give up, showing your children you don't give up, but don't put your hope in there, because you will set yourself for disappointment. Um, and just go
Court
in and just,
watchers are good too.
yeah, but
You can get court watchers.
don't put hope, because then I'm just saying, if you get lucky, you get a good judge, that's fine. But most of the time, 99.9%, you don't, because why would they end the case? Then they wouldn't have money, and they're all hungry for money. Um, so don't do things like that. They're not normal people.
Yeah.
They are lawyers that became judges, and lawyers have been lying for a long time, and they think they have a license to lie. So just don't put your trust in the wrong person, which is lawyers. You need to
Right.
trust your
Yeah.
heart and your intuition. And whenever they tell you like you need to do this, then you can see your child. That's a red flag. Don't follow it. Do not follow the carrot. Just stop, freeze, stay where you are, and do not go forward. Do not agree to anything. Do not sign anything. And
Yeah.
stay.
The number one thing is be careful what you agree on. They will convince you to agree on and settle, but be very careful, because that's probably the hardest thing to undo, is when you agree
And even when you don't
and
agree,
sign.
they fake your signature anyway. That's what I did in my case.
Yeah, but
But you always say
definitely be
objection.
careful
Always
what
say
you agree to.
objection. Yep, and always say objection. Even they tell you cannot say objection, and they order you that you cannot say objection. You say it anyway. Say objection. I disagree
Say
with you.
speak,
Yep.
speak your mind. But listen, ladies, I have to end the show. Are getting too close to burnout
Yeah,
here.
we're already over.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much for
both of
having
you,
us.
Antonella, Lynn. I'm going to have you back. I definitely need you ladies to come back and share more because this is a long road for all of us. But
Right.
thank you. Don't go away yet. I just want to end the show. Alienated parents, grandparents, alienated children, family, friends up worldwide. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk with our special guest, Andy Martens, and Antonella, Giovanna, and Lynn from
Oklahoma.
uh, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
My apologies. Oklahoma. Yes. Thank you, ladies, again. And God bless. Stay strong. And we will see you again soon.
Thank
Thank
you. Have a good
you.
day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.